Welcome back. Well, for weather this weekend, we have Eric Snodgrass with the Nutrient. Eric, I was in Iowa this week. Some impressive planting progress. Even some farmers saying they are going to be finished with planting after this week. But we are expecting some moisture this weekend.
Yeah, and the good thing about Iowa is that they got some decent moisture recently, and then it got drier and it got warmer. So they went after a crop pretty quickly. But when you think back to where we've been in this month of April, just absolutely epic flooding to the south and east of Iowa. So now I'm talking about the mid-south, where we've had some locations along the Ohio River and also along parts of the Mississippi River that have seen the wettest conditions that they've ever experienced in April since our data collection began in 1893. So the flooding down there has been tremendous.
Yeah. So do you expect some of those areas to continue to get moisture over the next 7 days?
Yeah, the pattern's about to get very active. We're going to be watching for a very stormy Easter weekend. It's actually going to start soon, and we're going to see quite a bit of severe weather moving across the midsection of the country. But it's the rainfall totals that are incredible. I mean, from the Red River of the South through Oklahoma, through Arkansas, Missouri, parts of Kansas, Illinois, Indiana, there's a swath in there of 2 to 5 inches of rain, locally heavier amounts. Iowa gets a good drink out of this, but the question is going to be how much more is this going to push us back in those regions to getting the spring crop established, whereas other folks, I think, are going to have a better start of it.
Eric, some of those areas needed that moisture, some of them do not. But let's take a look at frost risk. Are you concerned about frost over the next 2 weeks?
Well, that's the balance of this of this equation, right? So if you look historically, there's kind of an interesting map that shows you your risk of having a frost after today. In my mind, my eye is always drawn to like the 50 to 60% range, which kind of starts in Texas, goes to southern Iowa, and finishes in, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Now, the question is this one of those years where we still have half of our frost dates after this particular Easter weekend? And so if you look at the next 7 days on frost risk, I mean, wow, there's the gray shading is telling you where we've got it. That's a lot of the country that's got some warm temperatures coming. And if you look out even longer than that, up to about 15 days, you'll see that this forecast is such that we're not likely going to be seeing any sort of sustained cooler weather just now over the next 5 days, day 5 through 10, day 10 through 15. It looks to be warm, but remember, in spring with warmth, we tend to get the severe storms coming with it, which tighten up those windows anyway.
Yeah, speaking of those severe storms, how much have we seen the Mississippi River rise?
Yeah. So we, since the last 2 weeks, have watched the Mississippi River at Memphis come up 30 plus feet. And you mentioned severe storms. Just so you know, so far in the year, we're at 230% of average on severe wind reports, and we're at about 180% of average on tornado reports. So it's been an active and pretty terrible spring for some folks.
Yeah, a terrible spring. And you said, Eric, that you like terrible winters and you like terrible springs because that typically means it's helping the moisture situation. So are you still concerned about drought for this summer?
I am, but what this rain is doing, so this comes to your point, this rain is buying time. We're saturating some soils that need saturated. But the bigger concern is as we look out there into summer, I still have an overwhelming amount of evidence that suggests that the Western Corn Belt and parts of the plains and possibly in and around the Black Sea has this risk of developing midsummer drought. There are still key indicators on the table for that. And until I have evidence to the contrary, Tyne, I have to keep talking about it.
All right, Eric, thank you so much for joining us this Easter weekend. We appreciate it. Well, are the markets, are they focused on weather right now and the lack of planting in the Southern Corn Belt? We have Chip Nellinger and Joe Baklevic joining us to talk markets next.